Greetings, my fellow hiker. I'm happy to share with you one of my favorite hikes in France, in southwest France, where I was able to see an abandoned castle, some beautiful windmills. You thought you might be in Holland by seeing them. Beautiful churches and obviously beautiful wineries. So, hi, I'm Brice Sokolowski, the founder of Vaucluse Gear, where we love hiking, but at the same time, we try to sweat as least as possible. And so I'm going to share with you this magnificent hike that I took. I'm going to share with you some of my gear. I'm going to share with you my cool dry frame, how I stayed cool and dry during this hike, which was just under 3 hours. And I'm going to share with you some of the things that I saw. So stick around, and I think you're going to be very, very pleased, because this was a fantastic, fantastic hike. So I started in Montagne, France, which is just over here. I'll show a few pictures. Obviously, Montagne in French means mountain. However, as you can see, there aren't any mountains. So, but it is on a very high hill. And so the hike was 9.33 miles, I believe, just under 3 hours. I used the Strava app to track everything that I did. So if you want to click the link below and you want to follow along with the hike, you can. And I got my hike from the tourist office, which was associated with the Hiking Association of in France. And I'm really happy that I followed their recommendation, because I saw an abandoned castle, absolutely beautiful. I mean, incredible. I saw windmills, which I thought I would never see here. Usually you see them up in Holland, but we were on a very high hill and plenty of wind, and you could clearly see why they had created those windmills there. That was beautiful. Overlooking, you could see Saint-Emilion, which is the town that's associated, pretty much that's the center of winemaking here. You could see that. You could see other towns. It was absolutely gorgeous. Stopped in as well, of course, to see a church, which is right behind me, right over there, I believe, St. George Church. So a lot of fantastic things to see, and obviously you can as well see it's absolutely blue sky. It started in the 60s, and actually I'm going to put this down. It was about 60 degrees in the beginning. Humidity, I think, was at about 70% at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I thought, it's going to be another sweaty day. But it turned out that as the temperature rose in the 70s, the humidity actually dropped. So very, very warm, while you're hiking 3 hours, it gets a little hot. But thankfully, I didn't really sweat. So I'm going to pull up some pictures. I was using my Osprey 22 Talon with my cool dry frame. And so the cool dry frame is something that you attach onto any backpack. I just happen to have an Osprey 22. You attach this, and what it does is, obviously this backpack has an arc and it's called the airscape, but a lot of air doesn't really escape from it. And the reason it doesn't is because, well, there's not a lot of space to begin with, so the air gets trapped. But with the cool dry frame, it simply creates a continuous airflow gap, so that way when I'm hiking, when that wind is coming, it just sweeps that hot air out, and all of a sudden I've got cool air replacing the warm air from my back as well. As you sweat, it evaporates. And some people say, well, deal with the sweat, it's not really a problem. Well, if you're sweating, there is a problem, because that means your body temperature is starting to rise. And if your body's temperature is starting to rise, you're losing liquid. So you've got to be obviously drinking liquid to try and cool down your body temperature. So, your body is, working harder than necessary, you could say, if you could just keep your body temperature cool. So if you don't have a lot of water, all of a sudden you might possibly dehydrate. So that's one of the risks, is that if you are sweating, body temperature's kicking up, your body starts to sweat that off, you might become dehydrated, so you got to be drinking more water. So that's one main problem with sweating. And then the other thing is, a lot of people don't think about it, is in cold weather, obviously we're not in cold weather here, but if you are in cold weather and you're sweating, it might create hypothermia. And I've heard from search and rescue teams that they really don't like sweating, because when they do sweat, that puts their team at risk. And if they start sweating, their body temperature starts raising. They might have some problems. And they've actually told me that when they do sweat, sometimes they have to, they have to cut their search shorter than what they anticipated. So they have to say, well, we'll come back later. So sweat is, I know that a lot of people are like, well, just stick with it. It doesn't really matter. But I mean, apart from just being more comfortable, which is a benefit, there are also other benefits of kind of keeping your body temperature more stabilized, allowing that heat to dissipate more freely and not to just add more and more heat on your back. So overall, that was my hike here in Montagne, France. It was absolutely beautiful. I highly recommend it. Leave a comment if you've hiked anywhere in this region. Let me know. If you have a favorite trail, let me know. We'd be happy to hear from you. Nonetheless, thank you so much for listening, and see you on the trails. Bye.